It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of a family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limousine or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you because that's New Orleans and this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar today, we're at the fabulous Wayfare on Ferret Street, where they have all the information right up here, Boyanna, right behind you. Can you read that for me?
Half price all drinks, ain't it?
Yeah, half price drinks.
Come on down, y'all.
Every day between 3 and 6, they have a half price happy hour for 3 hours.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. And they also have a fabulous brunch on the weekend. And that voice you're listening to is Boyanna Trayanova.
Hello out there.
Hello, Boyanna. Boyanna's a drummer and the leader of a band called the One Love Brass Band.
It's a good band.
It's a great band.
It sure is.
I love it. It's the strangest sort of brass band you've ever heard because it's not really a New Orleans brass band, although they're from New Orleans.
We are a New Orleans brass band, but we kind of put a little twist on it.
Yeah. It's a good twist.
It's a good twist.
Jamaican twist,
Yeah,
in
well,
fact.
Jamaican reggae ska twist.
Yeah. So, Morgan, have you ever heard these guys play?
No.
You're going to hear some of them in a minute.
That's great.
Yeah.
This is Morgan Molthrop, everybody, who is a New Orleans born and raised author, lecturer, visual artist, and multimedia producer.
Yeah.
Is that a pretty good description of you? Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, whatever. Yes.
And a super good-looking guy, right, Renee?
Not bad.
Not bad.
I'm getting more and more for radio.
Good-looking for radio.
Yeah, great face for radio.
That's Renee Blanchard, the voice. Did I introduce you already?
Not yet.
Renee Blanchard, hello.
Hi, how are
Renee
you?
is the owner of the fabulous Church Alley coffee shop on Oretha Castle Haley Blvd.
Yeah.
Which I thought someone told me had closed down. Is that not true?
We closed last week, but we're moving to Mid-City. So we're closed for about 3 weeks, painting, packing, moving, building, and then hopefully reopening in the first week in February.
So that, and Andrew Duhon is not here today, but I'm sure he would have asked this question. He's on tour. If you're looking for Andrew, you can find him at andrewduhon.com and see if he's in a town near you, which you may well be. I think he told me he's in Canada. I'm not sure if is that a country? He said, I'm out of the country, and then this is all texting. I'm like, where? And he said, Canada.
Technically a country, I believe.
I don't regard Canada as out of the country, though.
Wait, he went to Canada a few weeks ago? I think a few people did
lot of
that.
people.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I'm hoping he's coming back, though. So you were supposed to be one of the people who was going to save Oretha Castle Haley Blvd by being hip and groovy. And why are you bugging out? What happened?
Yeah, we've been, January 18th will be our 4th year on the
Wow,
boulevard.
wait.
Yeah, so a real long time comparatively to the other businesses that
Right.
are on there. Casa Brega is not long after me in July.
Right.
It's a hard boulevard. A lot of the buildings are really big, and it takes a lot of money to rehabilitate all of those buildings that have been empty. And also, I live a block away from my shop, too. My husband owns a business about a block away as well. And
Which one? What does he do?
the New Orleans Tattoo Museum. He's a tattoo artist, and he's archiving the history of tattooing in New
Oh,
Orleans.
my God, it must be terrible to take that skin off of people and just put it in a frame or whatever.
Exactly.
That's a good point. What is a tattoo museum?
He's a second-generation tattooer in New Orleans. His dad has a shop out in Kenner, and he's just like archiving, making sure that all the stories are kept up and that, because it's mostly storytelling by word of mouth, not by writing down, or sometimes things will get lost in a fire or whatever, move, or someone passes away.
Say a hurricane?
A hurricane. So he's really trying to archive everything and going to talk to all these old-timers that don't have as much publicity as the newer tattooers do right now.
So what do you mean by archive? Take photos of them?
He has some, 1979, there was a firebombing in the quarter of a tattoo shop, and now that's why there's no more tattooing in the quarter. So that's why...
Because of one lousy firebomb?
One lousy
Really?
firebomb.
What would happen if we all ran away every time there was an industry that got firebombed?
Yeah. So
There'd be no dry cleaners. There'd be no Italian restaurants.
That's true.
There'd be no bars.
We're going to move off the subject here. Firebombing, not a good subject.
Yeah.
Move it away.
Why did one little firebomb scare off
I don't know.
all the tattooers in the
Hey, it was the
first quarter?
70s.
This was the
it was
70s.
New Orleans, the
It's
70s.
true,
You
though.
remember, there was a lot of stuff going down
Yeah.
here.
What
It
was? Well, Morgan, you would know. What was happening?
Not that I was living at the time.
But no, but you're an oral historian, actually.
Well, I mean, there was a bombing also in that time of a gay bar, if you
That's right.
remember.
Yeah,
And
not
that
too far
was
away.
a fire. It was a fire.
It was a
and it was
fire,
an
yeah.
intentional
Intentional
fire.
fire. A lot of people died.
And a lot of people. And then you had the post-Kennedy assassination stuff going down here during that period.
Did
JFK
that actually
stuff.
affect the city?
Oh, yeah. All of that was connected to everything.
But did people know that at the time, that it was all Lee Harvey Oswald was from here and David Ferry and all this stuff?
Everyone knew that.
So
here.
here-
Everyone knows everything here. If you don't know that, this is New Orleans.
Just ask them.
It's an unfortunate truth, so you just finally just say, okay, well, that's the way it is.
Everybody knows everything.
Yep, they do.
So that whole Kennedy assassination, the stuff that we came to learn when Oliver Stone made that movie, or whenever,
Yeah, no,
everybody here knew all that crap.
Everyone knew the theories from here. Absolutely.
Yeah. What was that DA's name? Garrison?
Garrison, yeah.
Yeah. That was in...
Garrison Keillor.
In
What was his actual
Oliver
name?
Stone's movie.
Absolutely.
The JFK movie.
Well,
yeah.
that's why I
saw
thought.
that.
Didn't you learn all this from the movie?
I did.
That's
Not
what I-
history class.
Me neither.
Definitely
I
not.
didn't see
Renee,
the movie.
I
you
may
didn't
not
see
have
the
been
movie.
paying
How do you know
attention.
any history if you don't
No,
go to
no.
the
That's like
history.
learning Alexander the Great from Oliver Stone's movie, which just not going to, that's a very kind of altered kind
I
of
mean,
history.
come on. Who
Well-
pays attention in history class? That's so boring.
I do. I loved it. I was a nerd. I'm a total nerd for history.
Did
So
you
it's
learn
my
all
job
this-
to make history interesting for people.
This is what you're doing now.
I am.
You've totally reinvented yourself as a sort of a performer. Because last time we talked to you...
but the truth of the matter is, I've always been interested in people's leadership skills and their success and what makes a person successful and what makes a great leader. And so I've kind of translated
Boy, this
that.
would be a good time to figure that out, actually. Because I think
we
we're
need
all a
some-
little mystified
I
by
think
that question.
we need some great leadership, and
No kidding.
right?
We
So-
have it, by the way.
Excuse me.
We have it, right?
For the next 2.5 weeks.
I'm just going totally positive on Trump.
You know
I'm
what?
I'm
I've
switching
been
my whole
told by
thing
my
now.
publicist to stay off of that subject. Apparently, it's written right here.
Did you get some
Did you
text?
just get a
What-
text about it?
Who's your publicist?
Move off whatever might have or not have happened during the election.
So you actually got notes from a publicist. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow. I wish
when
somebody
you get to a
would, I
certain
wish
point.
Graham DePonte would give me notes about what to say and what to stay off of.
Yeah. Well, here you
She's-
can use mine. I ordered
Okay.
them to Renee
Well,
earlier.
let's do it. Okay, so what does it say?
They're pretty
No-
basic. You want to hear my notes from
Yeah,
my
yeah,
publicist?
let's go from there.
Wait, I have to put my glasses on.
Yeah, I know.
This
Isn't
is
that
true.
terrible?
This
That's
is
the
exciting.
sad truth
This is
about
because
getting
apparently I wander, and I get maybe too intellectual for people or something like
old.
that.
Do you
So
really?
this is what she
Well,
said.
you couldn't get too intellectual for us because we're super
I know you won't let
intellectuals
me.
here.
Okay, so here's number one. You've always been fascinated with history, me.
So this is
I've
what
always
you're
been.
supposed to
You,
say.
me.
That's what
not
I'm
something
supposed
to
to
stay away from, though.
So no,
No,
you're supposed to ask me like, okay, so why is it that I'm writing all this stuff about Alexander the Great and the pirate Jean Lafitte? So
Okay,
because
hang on.
I've
All
always
right.
been fascinated
Okay,
by
well,
history.
let me ask a question then.
Oh, okay.
Well, somebody else could ask it.
Yeah.
Boyanna, what about it?
Why have you been so fascinated by history?
Well, I had great history teachers when I was growing up, and they just inspired me to go ahead and follow. History's a story. And
Have
if
you
people don't
have you
teach
rehearsed this answer? By the
No,
way?
this part's not in here. I just went off.
You just, so you're starting
Here's
off.
the notes.
So you've gone back
All
to
right.
school now. You've gone back. You started the whole thing back. That's way
Do you
too
like
far back.
teleprompter?
I went too far. I went
That's too far back. Then they've got to say, what school did you go to?
I went to Newman. So
Okay, so who was your history teacher?
Dr. Arthur White. He was really good. He was great, and he got me interested in Greek civilization and Roman civilization, the ancient Egyptian civilization. I've been to all these places, and I loved it.
But you hadn't been to them then at that point.
Not
when
then,
you were
but
in Newman.
he's the guy who made me want to go.
Wow, really?
Yeah, really.
That's cool.
It's
And
true.
were you at
so
Newman
that tells
the
you
same-
something about teachers early on in life.
Yeah.
If they're
did
good.
you have a teacher like that, Renee? Where did you grow up?
I'm from Lafayette, but I moved to
I love Lafayette.
I moved to South Florida when I was 7, so really young in Broward County.
You just picked
And-
up and took off.
Yeah, my mom was one of the first State Farm agents in Florida. She was one of the first women
she's
hired.
like a good neighbor.
She is a good
Hey now.
And
Okay.
so
They gotta
we
start
all
paying
moved
you.
over there, and then
So your dad went too? Were they stayed married? So your mom, that's unusual for those days, isn't it? For your
yeah.
mom to be
Yeah.
make the career choice
yeah,
and move
in
to Florida for State Farm.
87, yeah,
What part of
just north of Fort Lauderdale.
87? That was just about how many years? 6 years after the firebombing. And
Well, 79. Yeah.
I think it's all connected.
That is-
If Oliver Stone would know that this was all connected.
It was the same. We
You
disappeared
could
only
connect
8
that.
years later.
You just cut those scenes out
So-
of the movie. It would have been too long.
so that's a strange
in there, I
coincidence that your
swear.
mom's an
That's funny.
insurance agent and your husband was in the firebombing
He was in the
business.
firebombing business.
Oh my God, get off the firebombing.
4 years before he was born, yes.
Before he was born. He didn't firebomb anybody.
He did not.
So you moved at the age of 7 from Lafayette to what part of Florida?
Just north of Fort Lauderdale,
What does that mean exactly?
Deerfield Beach.
Deerfield Beach. So you moved to the beach.
We did, yeah.
Oh, that must have been awesome.
Yeah, it was great. It was really nice. It's really beautiful over there. For
What
sure.
did you think? Can you remember as a 7-year-old moving from Lafayette?
Yeah, it was
Did you
crazy.
think it was a good move or a bad
No,
move?
it was
when
a terrible
It was
move.
horrible because you had all
Yeah,
your...
I mean, the
awful.
culture in Lafayette
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Cajun culture.
Oh, it's
the culture
wild.
in northern Florida is like hick culture, right?
No, this is South Florida.
Boring.
This is New York, Florida.
Oh.
Oh, you got
So
the
all the
New Yorkers in
retirees-
there.
New York, New
Retirement,
Jersey,
yeah.
Montreal, Florida.
So a lot of old
Fabulous.
Jewish people there?
Yeah.
So that's-
We celebrated all the Jewish holidays.
I went to
in
Newman.
public
We have
school.
something in common.
Yeah, I went
Had
to
gefilte
Tulane.
fish.
Yeah.
There you go.
All
There
right.
you go.
And your
Yeah.
name's Grant.
So, yeah, we're in.
Morris.
So we're all like Jews, basically.
We all are.
This is fantastic.
We all
Yeah.
are.
Boyanna, you're from Bulgaria, right?
I'm from Bulgaria
So,
originally,
was
but I
there-
also grew up in New Orleans. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
I thought you
That's
moved
me
here.
where I went to school.
Where did you go to school?
Ben Franklin High School.
Okay, so,
I
so
give it
you're
to
a
you,
real
girl.
New Orleanian,
That's a
if
good
you could
school.
say you. I
That
had
is a
no
damn
idea.
good school.
Yeah, it's true.
I thought you moved here after you had already grown up to play
No,
drums.
I moved here when I was 14.
Come on,
with
so
my
your
family.
your family moved here. Now, what
Yeah,
made
yeah.
them move here?
Well, they were scientists, and Mom got a job at Tulane. Bam.
You better
Okay.
stay on point.
That's why
Yeah.
I went there. Yeah, I know my publicist gave
No,
me
you
some
want my
notes
second
too.
point in here?
We're talking about
Stay
teachers.
on point.
So,
Teachers,
what
yeah.
does your mom teach at Tulane?
But well, she doesn't work at Tulane anymore.
Right,
But,
okay, that sounds like another
But she
sto-
teaches.
story.
Yeah, it is.
That's another
it's
story.
a Hurricane Katrina story.
No,
actually.
she's one of those people that got canned from the engineering
Yeah.
department or something.
Oh my God, you're brilliant! Wow.
I know, I'm a psychic, by the
Dang,
way.
Did I tell you about this? Yeah, because she
No,
actually
but
she
a lot of
teaches
people
biomedical
do.
engineering actually. So,
Biomedical
That's
engineering.
exactly what happened. Yeah, she
Yeah.
got canned from the engineering
They
department.
just decided to stop teaching engineering
well,
at
they
Tulane.
lost a lot of money, and maybe I shouldn't say why.
Why?
Well, you guys know the Tulane Library, right? Well, did
Yeah.
you know it has a basement?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, why would any building in New Orleans have a basement? That's one. And two,
This is
they
like
were
Pee-wee's Big
storing the
Adventure.
priceless jazz records in the basement.
Uh-oh.
What?
So again, why would you store anything in a basement? But why would you store something priceless in a basement? So of course they got flooded in Katrina, and they spent millions of dollars restoring the priceless jazz archives. So they had to make some changes.
So you're
Cut the
saying,
engineering
you're saying
department,
that they
yeah.
got rid of the
there goes
engineering
biomed.
department.
Well, we're
Yeah.
more famous in New Orleans for jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
this
that's
is
why
true.
you moved
More
over
money.
as well.
Well, I moved here because of my parents.
I mean,
but,
that's why you moved your career.
That's why I
clearly.
stayed in New Orleans. I had many opportunities to leave, but why would I?
When did you find out you could play drums like this?
I mean, I played drums before I moved to New Orleans, and then once I moved here, it was like music
So you
on
were
the
a
street. It was like-
Bulgarian drummer at 14.
well, actually, we moved to Durham, North Carolina, straight from Bulgaria, because Mom's got a job at Duke.
Wow, that
before
must
she
have
was
been
at
interesting
Tulane.
too.
Oh, my
The
God.
culture shock. Oh my God, culture shock.
Yeah, no
The
kidding.
first time I
She was
stepped
in the
foot in
research
a,
triangle.
It is the research triangle. Yeah.
It's like the Devil's
Like the-
Triangle, but for biomedical type.
Yeah.
of
Or
thing.
the Bermuda Triangle?
Oh yeah.
Durham, North
You
Carolina.
might disappear. You might disappear. Yeah.
What is biomedical engineering exactly?
I mean, it's a lot of things. What my mom specifically does is she helps. She does research that makes better pacemakers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
My dad
something-
just got a pacemaker, so thank you very much
Hey.
to
I'll
your
pass
mother.
the word on.
because
Mom,
she's
if you're
doing
listening,
okay.
Good
doing
old
it.
mom.
yeah.
Does she own one? Are they like endorsements? Does she have her own, like Chuck Taylor sneakers
Oh,
or
By the
I'm
way,
sure
Air
she
Jordans?
does.
Sorry,
Have a
Dad, for just
label.
disclosing your health condition on the podcast.
Does this
Is
current
that in your
event?
notes?
I mean, no
Against
one knew he
HIPAA.
had a pacemaker. It's not on the notes.
How
there
did
we
he
go
find
again.
out he needed a pacemaker? Did something happen? Did he have a heart attack or?
No, they
Syncope?
caught it beforehand, which is great and very good. So, he had kind of a fainting spell.
That's called syncope.
And there was a
Did
firebomb
you know?
somewhere. No.
I happen to know that. There was a fire. He got fire.
There
He was
a
firebombing. He was
got
firebombing
dizzy,
somebody.
They said, you need a
strange.
pacemaker. This is a guy who did a few firebombs,
Okay, so this is Alexander the Great.
Yeah, I've always been interested in
Okay, back to the
people's
notes.
personal
Okay.
success and leadership skills.
That's right. You have been. You
I've
were
always,
working.
I've always been.
You've always been interested going back to Newman
Well,
and Dr. Somebody
Dr.
White.
White. Yeah,
Dr.
well, I
White.
mean, think about these figures in history from Julius Caesar to Cleopatra. Think
Okay,
about her
let's go
skills.
through them. How many other are there? Julius Caesar, don't know anything about him. Do you know
You don't know anything
Renee?
about Julius. What about Augustus? No.
Come on.
Emperor?
Cleopatra, you don't know anything about Cleopatra?
Yes.
I know a thing or two
I know
about
what she looks
Cleopatra.
like. She looks like Elizabeth
You know that
Taylor.
she was related to Alexander the Great, that she was a descendant
I did
of
not
him?
know
I didn't
that.
know that. I don't know much about it.
Yeah,
That is
so
something
she was-
I've
How did
heard.
you know
Sorry.
that, Renee?
I have no idea.
And you went to
I
Franklin.
could not.
Yeah, they taught us all kind of stuff. Did I pay attention? Well, that's a totally separate topic altogether.
Did you end up graduating from Franklin?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, you must have had some
Oh,
sort
I
of
had a great
education.
GPA,
Okay,
but-
so all right then, who was Alexander the Great?
Like the Russian Tsar, the great one.
No,
Damn, Steve
This is
Franklin.
not
Wow.
the Russian Tsar we're talking about. We're talking about the Greek god.
Oh,
Oh no! Are you
Russian
kidding?
Tsar.
Foiled
Here, I'll
again.
give you the
Hang on.
cheat.
Wait up a minute.
Yeah.
How many great Alexanders are there in history?
This is Alexander the Great from Macedon, who I went to Macedon this summer to visit his homeland.
Okay, that's it.
Macedonia?
Yeah,
That's
well,
like
the
my hood.
Macedonia is now
That's
it's
where you-
kind of a sensitive thing for Greece because there's another country that calls itself Macedonia that is not northern Greece.
Where is it?
It's north of Greece.
Greece, yeah.
It's like what used to be Thrace or something like that.
Well, it's kind of
Okay.
it's the former Yugoslavia,
But it's not where
like
Alexander
in
was
there.
from, but they kind of claim it, and then Greece gets all PO'd about
That's
that.
kind of a pattern in that part of the world.
Right,
They
right, so-
claim things.
So you know this. She knows that, you know.
Bulgarian.
She doesn't know anything about
I do.
history, but suddenly,
Yeah.
you know, but she's from Bulgaria, so she gets
Yeah,
this,
she
right?
gets
Man,
this
I went to
one.
Franklin. I know all kind of things.
Can we go back to how many Alexander Greats there are? Though?
Apparently
Because I'm a little
Excuse me, this is the
confused.
original one, 323 BC is when he dies at age 33,
He
having
died
conquered
at
the world.
323 BC.
At age 33, having conquered the world. basically.
323 BC.
Now, he was the pharaoh of Egypt, he was the leader of all Greeks, and he was the king of kings of Persia.
So how big was the world at this point?
Well, this is the Western world. This is why we have Western civilization. This is kind of important
Because of
stuff.
Alexander the Great.
Yes, Hellenism,
you're
classicism.
going too quickly now, right?
I love
Are
this
you-
stuff.
are
I know.
you-
I know.
are
I'm
you
I'm trying to
getting back
remember
to the point.
how
Okay,
I
wait,
know
wait.
any of this.
So hang on a sec. This guy, what did he look like, first of all? Was he white or black or
he was
Middle Eastern?
well,
looking?
he was a multiculturalist because he was pharaoh of Egypt. That's North Africa.
He was the pharaoh
He had
of Egypt.
Persian wives, but he was from northern Greece, so he was probably light brown haired and gray-eyed is what they say. He
Well,
was.
like you, sort
Now,
of.
how was he able to schedule in all
Looked
these
exactly like me,
commitments
except for he was about 5 feet
without
3.
iPhones back
Excuse
then?
me?
How was he able to keep track of all his commitments without iPhones back then?
He had the Persian Royal Road. They actually had a network.
The Silk Road type thing?
It was connected to the Silk Road ultimately, but the Persian Royal Roads were the best roads in the world, and they could get messengers from post to post to post that's why he built so many cities around his whole empire, so that
Okay.
he could
Get
get the
information.
messengers from one place to another. It was an amazing system that he created, and because of that world that he created, it created Hellenism, that cultural flowering around the Mediterranean that would give rise to the Roman Empire. And, of course, the era of Julius Caesar and Cleopatra. Now I've gone way off my point.
No, this is good because this is a real education for us, right,
Yeah,
Boyanna? I
totally,
didn't know.
totally.
Renee, you don't know anything about this either, right?
I-
No, but he
let's
was
keep
a
going.
fascinating
Yeah, it's
character.
good.
Okay, so Renee, what? Go ahead.
No,
You have a question?
no. I don't have a question. This is
You have a
fascinating. No,
Okay.
no
Well,
statement.
I
So
gotta-
I wrote a book about him.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Let's get on. First of all, could I ask you 2 questions? Was he did you just say, I wrote this down, he's the Pharaoh of Egypt and the Emperor of Greece?
Yeah, isn't that cool?
He did these 2 gigs.
And he
No,
died at
That would be like
33.
being
So here's
President
the
of the
deal.
United States and Prime Minister of
So
England.
he leaves Greece to conquer Persia, and then he begins to conquer Persia, and then he goes down into Egypt because he's fascinated by Egyptian culture, and they welcome him as pharaoh.
Wow.
And when they welcome him as pharaoh, he goes and does this kind of special cool trip to a place called Siwa, which is an oracle.
SeaWorld?
Siwa. What did you say?
SeaWorld?
SeaWorld. He
The
goes to
first
SeaWorld.
SeaWorld.
He
Okay.
meets Shamu, and Shamu tells him that he's the son of God.
Oh, wow. Now you've got something
No,
going
no,
on.
it's the
There's a
oracle tells him
talking
he's the
whale
son
in
of
it.
God.
Someone-
Then he goes back to Persia, and he goes
Wait.
all the way to India, by the way.
No, we're going to stop you again. Now, what is an oracle who tells you the son of
An oracle is like you've heard of the Oracle of Delphi?
I have.
Yes.
She's the priestess at the Temple of Apollo, and she smells the vapors that are coming from the earth. And as she does, she kind of gets a little high, and she starts telling you about the future.
This is not a real person.
Oh, yeah. There was
This is
a
an
real
actual human being.
priestess, a human
Okay.
being. And so she would tell you about the future. Now, there were 3 famous ones in the ancient world. One of them in Delphi, one of them in Siwa, which is in not Sea World, Siwah, in the deserts of Egypt.
Siwah.
Thank you very much. And the other was where Olympias, Alexander's mother, was from, in Epirus, the kingdom of Epirus. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
This crazy stuff that I know.
I'm trying to follow this. It's amazing that you know all this stuff.
I know. I got kind of into it.
Yeah.
I know.
It's pretty cool, though. It's pretty strange that you would be in New Orleans and getting into this.
Yeah, well, that's why it's Alexander the Great Visits New Orleans. I decided to bring him here so he could hang out.
So this is the thing that I saw online, right? This is your show.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great Visits New Orleans.
Visits New Orleans.
Okay, so now we've got to straighten it up. Alexander the Great is not the Russian Tsar. He's the died in 323 BC at the age of 33.
Persian.
Yeah, King
Right.
of Kings. He defeated the Persian king and then took over. By the way, he was tutored by Aristotle. That was his teacher.
What?
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's like better than,
That's a
better
pretty good
than
teacher.
Newman.
To
Even
be-
better than Ben Franklin.
And Ben
damn.
Franklin.
Exactly, a little bit better. He had all AP classes he took. He was by
Was
the
he-
time he was 20, he became king. You know, that's it.
So was he brilliant?
He was totally brilliant.
Do we know
absolutely.
anything? I mean, how was this written down? Who wrote this down?
There were several contemporary biographers that wrote about his life, but he had a life partner named Hephaestion,
What's his
a
name?
lover. Yeah, basically.
Is that a guy?
Yes, and he also had. He was omnisexual. He had
Omni.
2 queens
Omni.
beyond queens.
That's a new one.
Yes,
I'm going to write that one
omnisexual.
down as well. I've never
Yeah,
heard
he
that.
had a Persian
Omni.
eunuch. He had the Queen Barsine, 2 Persian queens, a harem. You know,
I mean, when
No.
you're Alexander the Great.
Yeah, what
yeah,
else
he's
are you
the
gonna
most
do?
powerful,
You can
richest man in
basically
the
fuck
world. You can
anybody
have
you
what you
want
want.
at any
It's
point,
good
yeah.
to be the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had a Persian eunuch. Did you just say that?
Yeah.
What
And
does
you
that
know
look-
who this Persian eunuch was? The bed boy for Darius III, who was the king of Persia. And so he knew all the protocol to be the Persian king. And so Alexander wanted him to be with him so that he could tell him how to deal with being the king of Persia.
So this is kind of like a Mardi Gras.
It's a
story.
total Mardi Gras. It's an abs. That's why
Isn't
he's
it?
so
It
perfect
sounds
for here.
Yeah, I see. This is like Bacchus.
A real king. It's like Bacchus because Dionysus was one of the gods that that he. Of course, his mother was a Dionysian priestess.
Okay, so
Wow.
what?
That's a lot.
What is the show?
It is a lot.
We got a lot. We haven't even got off. We've got to get off
I know.
of this
I
in
know.
a minute.
You know,
But,
I'm going to stay on point 3.
okay, we're going to have to move on in a minute. But what is the actual show that you're doing?
Well, I painted 7 epic murals of Alexander in different places in New Orleans.
So you're
So he's
you're an
visiting.
artist as well. So this is okay.
Yeah, I painted them all. I don't know. It got crazy, and I decided I was going to do this. And
Have you ever painted?
and they're
anything before?
enormous. Well, I've done some stuff in my life before, but these are really just out of left field.
So you
And
just got
they're-
inspired.
I was totally inspired, and then I went to Greece, and then I wrote the book. So this is all coming together now.
Wow.
But he's at Audubon Park because you got to bless the animals at the zoo. He's at Gallier Hall because that's a temple, right? And that's a very special place in New Orleans. He's on Congo Square doing
Yeah, playing drums.
Dionysian dancing. He's doing a Bacchic festival there.
And when we say he, this is you we're talking about.
No, Alexander, I have him painted
Are you?
there.
These are the paintings.
Yeah,
oh,
I
these are not
have
the
them
show.
painted
These are
there.
the depictions of him.
Yeah, this is and they're
And there's-
all 9 feet by 5 feet. They're enormous.
Did you take him to any parades?
P-Raid, yeah, I have him in a
P-Raids.
Mardi Gras scene. He's going to the meeting of the courts of Rex and Comus
Oh, yeah, that's very, very kingly. Yeah.
to break it up.
To break
Break it up.
Yeah, to integrate it because it's not integrated yet.
Okay.
Wow.
And he would integrate it because he's a multicultural king.
Interesting.
And
How
is
long
it-
did that
Wonderful.
take you? How long from start to where you are now in
That's
this
a really
project?
sweet question, Renee, because it was a lot of coffee between here and there. And you know what? From now on, you and I are going to be best
Yes.
friends.
Fuel
So-
the next project.
I started in June.
Just June.
Just
Yeah.
this last year, June
Yeah.
2016, it's now January. So in 6
Because I
months,
said,
you've
that,
accomplished
you
all
only
this.
live once. You might as well attack the character that you're most interested in and just go for it with everything.
Well, do you believe you only live once?
What did you say?
Do you believe you only live once?
I believe. No, here's what I believe, Brent. I believe that what you do in this life is really important. So whether you do or do not have an afterlife doesn't really matter. That you do what you do here is excessively important.
Well said. Well said.
All right. So you don't think there's any reincarnated type connection between you and Alexander the
There
Great?
could be some genetic DNA going
Are you
on.
asking
you-
him if he's Alexander the Great?
I was wondering if you
no.
felt any.
No, I'm a
other
kingmaker,
worldly
not a
connect-
king. Always a
Ah.
kingmaker, never a king.
Well, Renee's travelled all over the show too. You've travelled all over the world.
I've traveled a little bit, yeah.
Because it says here in my extensive notes that you worked on. You were a community organizer for environmental and human rights, and you worked on Burmese democracy.
I did. In college, I traveled to Burma. Well, I've traveled to Burma throughout college and after 7 times. And I brought...
Now, is that the same as Myanmar? Mm-hmm. It is. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
will you say Burma?
Yeah. So the people who... So Aung San Suu Kyi has always called it Burma.
Okay.
And she is now the prime minister, but she was under house arrest for 25 years.
Wow.
And she was the leader of the democratic resistance. So I kind of follow what that party says.
How did she get her groceries and all that kind of stuff when you're under house arrest?
They had... Well,
Eunuchs.
Yeah, eunuchs.
Persian eunuch?
Persian eunuch.
Went to Burma. That's amazing.
Persian eunuch was a bad boy. Did he bring her the groceries? How did she... 25 years is a long time to stay home.
Yeah, her father was the
Did she do her
original...
own cleaning?
was the first president of Burma, so
We call it making groceries. Let's
Making
just get this clear.
Forgot.
Did she do her own cleaning for 25 years? 'Cause have you ever stayed home for a whole weekend or a week? And
So
the place
boring.
turns into a fucking disaster area at my house. Isn't yours?
Yes.
Right. So who cleaned up for how do you put Aung San Suu Kyi?
Yeah.
25 years.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Many pizza boxes you'd have.
That's a lot of painting.
It's a lot
You
of
could get a
painting.
lot done.
Yeah, I
right?
could get a lot done.
Yeah.
She also
So-
won the Nobel Peace Prize
Right.
during that time,
But let's
too.
talk-
She couldn't go get it.
She couldn't go get it. Her sons went and got it for her.
So
yeah.
what did you do when you got there? What happened when you got off the plane there?
I brought college students and teacher and professors over there so they could go back to their schools to learn to talk about.
You did.
Yeah,
How
that was
did you
part of
know
it.
all about it?
I don't. They're in because I went to after I graduated college, I moved to DC, but the U.S. campaign for Burma at the time was based out of DC, and I don't really know. I guess another friend had gone there or had talked about it, and then we all went. A bunch of us from our college went, and so we learned about it. I wanted to travel, and I just said yes to any traveling ever. So,
Right.
and then I ended up over there.
Yeah, yes to any traveling ever is a pretty
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah.
Unless you have to go coach. Just letting you know.
Well, can you go any other way to Burma? Can you go first class to Burma?
Yeah. Well, now you can.
You can.
But you couldn't we had to sneak over.
Oh,
We
you
had to sneak in over the
'cause
border.
You're a political
We were
person. I mean,
the border
yeah.
was closed, yeah. So
Because
we
you were
had-
bringing groceries and
I was
stuff.
bringing all the groceries.
Well, your schwags. So the Chinese, what would happen to
Scandalous.
you if you were caught by the Chinese authorities in Burma?
well, it was the Burmese.
Or the Burmese authorities? So
Yeah.
China's got nothing to do with it.
No.
I'm thinking of Tibet, maybe.
Yes, Tibet.
Okay,
yeah.
what's the difference between Tibet and Burma? Are they close to each other even?
I mean, China is near Burma, but
Not really. So the Burmese issue is just other Burmese people. It wasn't some foreign
the
country.
military took over the country and
Military,
had killed
okay.
Aung San Suu Kyi's father, and so that's why her family had been exiled. And then
Okay.
she came back to try to avenge her father's death,
Oh my.
and was successful.
So what did you have to do with the bringing of democracy to Burma, which eventually happened?
We brought attention on the college. We tried to get colleges similar to the apartheid protest of divestment for companies that were invested in the country while there was this kind of military.
Well, what goes on in Burma? They make rubber?
They have some of the most amount of jewels in anywhere.
Ooh,
Yeah.
blood diamonds, or are they? Or
It's
are
like
they,
emeralds and rubies and like all kinds of stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
that's something
Alexander would have
did you know
loved that.
I did not know that.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Did you know
Learn
that?
something
Morgan?
new
I know I
every
didn't. I'm
day.
saying Alexander would
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
He loves
You like
jewels.
jewelry?
Likes wearing his jewels. Just saying.
He's got an interesting cat, this Alexander. I can see why you're attracted to him.
You think so?
He's got all these guys and women hanging out with him. He likes to wear jewels and travel.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going for him.
You know, there's only one way to do it.
All
That would be
way.
it.
Yeah, the
All
right
the
way.
way.
So what do you? So when you're in Burma, are you involved in like political insurrection and
No,
helping
at,
on?
at the time you couldn't do anything. Like you're not allowed. We snuck into some of the refugee camps to talk to people to
I mean,
learn
that's just
about
downright
it.
dangerous, isn't it? I mean,
It had been. Yeah, it was. I mean, but it was. I don't know. It was important for us to do that. So,
wow, I mean, congratulations for
That's
doing that.
amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty unbelievable.
so yeah.
You
And
snuck into a refugee camp in Burma.
Yeah.
And what would happen if you got caught?
I wouldn't be
House
here.
arrest, 25 years. House
Yeah, I
arrest,
don't
25 years.
think I wouldn't be here.
You'd be killed.
I don't know. No one had ever gotten caught. Like, there's definitely a lot of corruption on the border, so people, look the other way. Or one time, all of security was nowhere to be found while we were going here.
She's saying you can pay people off, basically.
I was
right. And that's just one of the things you've done, though. Bring democracy to Burma.
Yes,
After the comma here, it says, eliminating toxic chemicals in electronic products.
Yeah, I worked on a campaign to get toxic chemicals out of iPhones. And
Come on.
Toxic chemicals.
That's why. Yeah.
Is this going to fry my brain?
Is that why they were blowing up for a while? The androids were like firebombing themselves because of the toxic chemicals?
I don't know what that was, but we worked for a long time. This is about not quite 10 years ago, but we worked to eliminate like PVC and different types of toxic, they're create reproductive disorders. So if your little kid is like, electronics. So plastics shed every time you touch them. So they're plastic chemicals are constantly getting on you.
That's why everyone has cancer. I mean,
because everything is plastic. Yeah. I mean, we're all walking around with that iPhone in our hands.
Well, this is definitely we have the safest version that has ever existed for sure.
So before you came along, these things were toxic.
Awful.
Your phone was toxic.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that?
No.
Yeah, we remember the days. I'm sorry, I'm this old. When they told you to keep your phone away from your face because it was going to give you brain cancer.
Brain cancer.
Well, that's probably what happened and why I did this Alexander stuff. What do you think?
Because you've got toxic, fucked up brain chemicals. Must be it.
Never.
PVC did it to you. So what's the phone? How do they get the PVC out of it?
They just changed. Yeah, they just changed the processes to make better phones and better computers.
How did you get Apple to do that?
A lot of showing up all the time, all over the country at stores, and a lot of different types of protesting.
The I people do not like people showing up at stores with signs and all because they like to be peace, love, and togetherness. Right. So this is a very effective and smart way of doing it.
It was super effective, really effective.
Who paid you? Who financed all this anti-Apple?
You should go there and tell them about my battery life.
Yeah, there you go. I worked for Greenpeace for a long time.
Greenpeace did all this?
Environmental group. A lot of different organizations did it, but I specifically worked with Greenpeace during this time. Yeah, it was awesome.
And do you get paid for that?
I was on the staff, yeah.
Wow.
That's dangerous, too.
Yeah.
It's like between a harpoon and a whale.
Watch out.
Right?
Yes. You look like such a sweet, nice...
I know. I'm like,
I am a sweet and nice
You don't even have a tattoo that I can see.
I have only on the back part of me.
You have your back tattooed.
Yeah.
I can't see
and my arms.
Can we see it?
Only just on these arms you can see.
Oh, that's nice.
Ooh, rose tattoo.
Yeah.
The rose tattoo of Tennessee Williams. Let me do a little education here. Do you know? Tennessee Williams, one of the greatest writers in the world. The Rose Tattoo.
Yeah.
Great play that he wrote. And you have a rose tattoo on you.
Well, it's a magnolia that needs to finish.
It's radio. Can you just go with me on it?
Sorry. That's my husband. He needs to finish that one.
All right.
When you're married to a tattooist, does he find time to do everyone else's tattoo except yours?
No, I can never get mine finished.
Of course.
I'm sure. So
it's
how
like
long
a busman's holiday, right?
I just can't be bothered right now. I've had a long day tattooing.
I need a nap.
How long have you been working on that one on your shoulder?
Just since May. So, not too bad. But I don't like to get tattooed in the summertime because it's so awful.
Really? Because
so,
why? Because it's too sweaty?
It
Don't you have AC? Yeah,
I don't like it.
It's hot in New Orleans in the summer.
Do you know what? Do you know what Morgan's pulled off since June? He did 12 gigantic paintings, and your husband's only managed to do one
little
little.
for that. I mean,
Wow, you got better.
Passion.
You got better drugs.
True passion. No, it's passion.
Do they do a lot of drugs over there with a tattoo shop?
No.
You always think
Never.
You always think there's a lot of wild things going on at a tattoo shop, wouldn't you think?
They can't do it while they're working on somebody. I mean,
Right.
they have to. I mean, you got to get in the lines and all.
He went to Ben Franklin as well. He went to
Nice.
Noka. Yeah.
Nice.
He's very serious. Very, very serious.
Right. What's his name? Just so we can.
Adam Montague
And where's the shop? On Oretha Castle Haley Blvd.
on MLK. Like
On
on the
MLK.
corner of Oretha Castle. And
What's
MLK.
it called?
The New Orleans Tattoo Museum.
Oh, that's the actual museum, but it's not
And studio.
only a museum and studio. We have to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Aretha Castle's a pretty cool little strip.
Well, it
there.
used to be, but now the coffee shop's gone. So
Abandoning.
I thought this was going to be the next Ferret Street. I guess everyone thought that.
I think everyone thought. I mean, a lot of people
It's
still
still
think
up and
there's some
coming.
kind
You know
of
what?
crime
You know
too,
what
and
the new
there's
Ferret
not.
Street is? Perrette Street.
Still going.
Thank you very much. That's another good line. But everyone thought Oretha Castle Haley was going to take off. It was going to be super. All these people bought, like someone bought a restaurant there. Was it Emerald or someone, or John Besh or one of those people? That's not true.
No.
I
I haven't
didn't
heard
They
that.
got some nice improvements.
It's actually
you know,
doing quite well.
The
Right.
People's Health Jazz
Ashe
Market.
Cultural
Yeah.
Center is great.
The Ashe's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Primitivo
really cool.
Toops just opened a new place in
Okay.
the Southern Food and Beverage Museum.
No, it's worth a second shot if you
amazing.
don't think it's coming up, because it really is at
It
this
is.
time.
Still
Yeah,
going
it
ahead.
is.
Yeah.
That's
But
true.
you see, the progress is just not the same. You're getting a lot more money being put into an uptown place than you're getting into OCH, but it's still developing, and it will continue to,
Yeah.
because you're seeing. And in fact, it's kind of a strange thing, Grant, because you're seeing what we might call black gentrification occurring in there. It's going a little bit slower than what would happen here in Perrette Street, but it's still the same thing. The people who lived in the places around OCH before are kind of getting pushed out by by other people.
Well, you
so.
used to go down there and you would never see a white person ever.
I used to actually, I used to have like a
Used to be
rehearsal
Jewish
spot
market.
on OC Haley about 20 years ago, 18
Yeah.
years ago, and man, if you went down there, like you had a death wish. It was,
Yeah.
It was really
it
se-
was
yeah, seedy.
terrifying.
People still
Yeah.
hold that today, and it's not a dangerous place anymore. You know what I
No,
mean? Like it's not the same.
Yeah,
You
there's-
live right
there's
there.
been a lot of really
but people
positive
still
improvement.
believe that that's what's happening. And
This
That's the
area is
problem.
so
I
cool.
think that's a huge problem. Yeah.
This was the place where Hasidic Jews had their markets, and they traded with blacks who were not allowed to go into white stores. So this is what was old dryads. All that you'll see a lot
Right.
of Jewish symbols
Star of
in that
David.
Yeah.
neighborhood.
So we're back to the Jews again.
Yeah, of course.
Seeing we're all
I always
Jewish
get back.
here.
I always get back to that.
Right. So that was Dryads.
Yeah, it was
Street.
dryads.
So Oretha Castle Haley.
She was a
Doesn't-
civil
Yeah.
rights
But doesn't
leader
it-
here in the city.
Yeah, but there's nothing on Oretha Castle Haley. No, there's no of those on Dryad Street. There's those cool old stores and beautiful buildings that you could restore pretty easily, actually.
Yeah, they're doing.
But
They're
Oretha
doing some
Castle
of
Haley is pretty hard to.
The
Doesn't
buildings
have
are
the-
so big. They're
Yeah.
all old
They
department
are.
Yeah, they are.
stores.
They
They're
are.
not. It's not like
Yeah.
here where we're seeing these small little shops
Right,
of bread
I
that are
see.
quick to turn around. It's
Smart.
gigantic buildings.
Good
They
point.
really are huge.
You
Yeah,
know.
I had that rehearsal space on OC Haley in one of these old buildings. It was just like ginormous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They're
immense.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Well,
It's just a
talking
great
of
sound,
rehearsal,
too.
we haven't even heard anything from the One Love Brass Band.
That's a
and
shame.
it is time.
So
It
I
is
know we
time.
have two things that we have to do. I have to tell you about who the sponsors of today's show are, which is the correct one, are, and then we have to
Are.
listen to some music. So
yeah.
we're good to go. So why don't I just run through quickly who the sponsors of today's show are, and then we can listen to something off the One Love Brass Band album called Too Big to Fail.
It's a good album.
It's a fucking great album, actually. I heard this. How did I even hear this? Oh, yes.
Alexander was too big to
I
fail.
stumbled. Well, how did he die, actually?
Interesting question, and I answer it in
Finally,
my book.
right?
You have to buy the book.
Okay, so the book is called what?
Alexander the Great visits New Orleans, and it will come out in the spring.
Which one of these books is
We
it?
gotta wait till the spring to find out how he died.
No, the
Mormon's
art
got-
shows now.
Okay,
We
we've got.
won't
Okay,
never
Here is the
know.
first part of the. Here's the first book.
okay, grab that other book as well.
Right
that little
there.
one here. We have to get onto the subject in a minute.
oh.
Hang on a sec. Okay,
That's that love book.
I want to see that in a minute. Okay, this is the Alexander. This is a real book.
Yeah, that's
is not
my
just-
first. That's my editor's copy.
But check this out, you guys. This is an actual book. This is not just some sort of.
Yeah, it's got my
Look at-
photos in it and everything. Actually, this is my life's work, really. When you think about it, everything intellectually and everything, all of my passion about history and about my thoughts in life go right into there.
Wow. So,
I think-
are there lessons?
You do that with your music, don't
Oh,
you?
absolutely.
Are there
It's all
lessons
right
in
here.
Alexander's life, like the
Absolutely.
Tony Robbins kind of?
I believe more than anything that this man was the first one to truly believe in universalism and multiculturalism and a borderless type of world where people, Aristotle, his tutor, said that Greeks were superior and that Persians and people from Egypt should be slaves and should be, barbarians. They were barbarians. And Alexander did not believe that. He believed he wanted to actually intermarry 800 of his generals with Persians and other people so that he would create a multicultural society. So,
and did he pull that off?
well, he died before everything was pulled off, and then his empire was split up into a million pieces.
Right.
And so,
So is there any way you could turn this into like a Tony Robbins type thing where you could teach people
Yeah.
leadership skills by
absolutely. And,
like
and look at
Alexander?
the chapters, the 13 kind of.
There's 13 chapters?
Yeah, no, there are
13 steps.
13 really. You heard the 12 steps. These are the 13 rules to achieving glory.
Right. What page is that?
So
on?
you're not achieving sobriety, you're achieving glory, which might be a little bit different here in this. Because glory was something that the Greeks thought was wonderful, like beauty was wonderful. So he was trying to achieve glory. He was trying to be a god in his own life. And so I think he achieved it.
Yeah.
So these are the 13 steps. From
Yeah.
know
On how to
thyself.
be a
Number
god.
1, know thyself.
Yeah, know thyself.
Number 2, know exactly what you want.
Know what you want, baby.
Okay, what do you want, Morgan?
I want that.
You want what?
I want
Glory?
that book, baby.
Oh.
You wrote the book. What do you mean you want it? Renee, what do you want?
What do I want?
What do you want?
Oh,
Know
go on
exactly. Do you
vacation.
know exactly what you want? A vacation.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
What I want.
Is that Morgan? Can you apply things like that? Is
Well,
that? Is this?
I mean, look, everyone's life is a quest and an adventure, right? So if you really decide, look, I'm serious about my life, what is it that you really want? When you decide that, then you can start making a plan to get there.
Okay. Boyanna, what do you really want?
Oh, I want to make people happy with music.
You do
Okay,
it already.
All right.
Yeah.
So you already achieved that.
Bam.
Oh, here's a good one. We're going to listen to a song in a second, but choose a hero is number 3. That's a great idea.
Yeah, you choose a hero.
Choose
Who's your
a
hero?
hero.
Johnny Vidacovich.
Huh?
Johnny Vidacovich, the
Oh,
New
wow.
Orleans
I wasn't
drummer.
expecting that one.
Who's
oh,
your
yeah,
hero?
I want to be just like him when I grow up.
I don't know who my hero is.
Well, you got to choose one.
I know.
We haven't got all day.
Study
We
up.
haven't got all day, Renee. Yeah, quick.
Sorry, I'm
Choose a
sorry.
hero. Who could
Who
it
do you
be?
Stop
admire the
staring
most?
at me.
Wow. Sorry.
You could choose.
I was looking at your rose
You could
tattoo.
choose Boyanna,
Yes.
and then she's got Johnny
I have no
Vidacovich, and we've got a whole
music
chain.
talent.
We've got a whole chain back to Johnny Vidacovich.
Yeah.
I wonder who Johnny Vidakovich's hero is. You.
Yes.
They've
Yeah,
got
no,
sort of
I mean, that's a great hero.
a
Think about
feedback
that.
loop.
He is
So
great.
you think about his life, and you kind of model it in a certain way, and you learn the lessons of his life, and you attach them to yours, and that becomes a part of your story.
Nice.
Don't you think?
Yeah, sure.
Well, if you don't know who Johnny Vidacovich is, by the way, you could Google it, and also he's a drummer.
It's hard to spell the last name.
He's a New Orleans drummer. He played with some of the greats, all of the greats, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredible, and he plays like at the Maple Leaf on Thursdays. Go check him out. I'm plugging other people's gigs
No,
here.
that's great.
I should be plugging my gigs.
Well,
But-
when is your next gig that we can go to? Or not next one, but in general. You have like a regular gig?
Yeah, you got a regular gig.
I work all the time with different projects, so I gig all the time.
But this too big to fail thing is pretty cool. Is that kind of
This-
a life's work for you?
This some of my life's work. Yes. This is
Okay, let's take a
this
listen to a
is like
song.
my brainchild.
I'm gonna do the. I'm gonna do
basically,
that.
with-
I'm gonna do
with-
the commercials after this. Let's
Oh,
listen to a
it's very
song.
exciting. Yeah, we should.
Okay, so tell us what we're listening to, and then I'm
So
going to go
we're
back
gonna
to the.
listen to,
then I'm going to do that book.
our
There's a lot of stuff
self-titled
to do.
smash single.
Okay.
on here.
Off the album Too Big to Fail. The song is called.
The song is called "Too Big to Fail," self-titled.
Did you
see,
write
see
it?
where I'm going? Kyle Cripps wrote it. He's my partner in crime with this band. This is kind of like our little brainchild. We had a little music baby together. We
Okay.
founded the band like 4 years ago. We just turned 4.
That's great. And
It's
for a
amazing.
band, that's a really big deal.
I know it's a totally big deal, and this is our second release, second album,
And
it
this
just
can be
came out
stolen
in the
off
fall.
of Spotify if we need to.
Yes,
and
it's
so
on. It's on all
Okay.
the major streaming download
All right.
services. Check us out.
The
One
album's
Love
called
Brass
Too
Band.
Big to Fail, and the band is One Love Brass Band.
One Love Brass
And
Band.
Boyanna's brainchild, along with
Kyle Cripps.
Kyle Cripps, and here it is.
Breaking news. The housing bubble has burst. Lehman Brothers construction at an all-time low. Speculators drive up commodities.
Американската компания Lehman Brothers спира.
Dow Jones has menos de 7,000. Oh, you smoking big cigars? Get lost.
line and buy a boat. No one cares for you now, American dreamer. You see, size is not a crime. We're just too big to fail. There's no more room for you. So enjoy making our bail. You are going under. Get a line and buy a boat. No one cares for you now, American dreamer. Too big to fail. Oh, you're too big to fail. You're too big to fail. Said you're too big to fail. Too big to fail.
Okay, Boyanna, congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you so
that was
much.
awesome.
Crazy,
Thank
right?
you so much.
So
What'd you
good.
think,
It was
Renee?
so
It's a big hit.
good.
It's a great metaphor for everything if you really think about it.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
really applicable to everything that's
Yeah.
going on today.
Too big to fail.
Yeah.
Do you think
a
it's
little
applicable
political.
to the United States?
Well, in the way that the song describes, yes.
That sounds like they're saying that. Well, that was a saying that was attributed to the banks.
Yeah, well,
In the
this song's
2008
a comment
crash,
on the 2008 financial
Yeah.
crisis, but now 8 years later, 9, we're kind of in a similar situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still very applicable today.
What's the song on the album that Margie Perez sings on? That was the one that I was remembering
Yes.
here.
Well, that's the last track on the album. That's Reefer Gladness.
Reefer
And-
Gladness. That's a great
Gladness.
song too. The
Yeah.
whole album is great. It's
I
really.
agree.
I
Thank
think
you
you're
so
onto
much.
something here. It's like a really cool take on
I'm very proud of it.
on
It's a
brass band and
great sounding
ska
album.
and reggae. It's a really. I'm
Yeah.
surprised no one's done it actually.
Yeah.
Somebody had to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really. It is amazing. I really do love that record. Hey, pass me one of those pieces. Hang on. I'll grab
What
it.
do you need?
Listen, I wasn't quite aware of how the time had gotten away on us here, so I can't believe that we've been here for 50 minutes already. How the hell did that happen? So I'm supposed to have done these. First of all, I'm supposed to play that song at 15 minutes after the hour, not 50. And then secondly, I'm supposed to have read these sponsor messages out.
Oh, better do
Okay,
it.
all right,
That's
let's
30.
sponsor.
So let's just say thank you very much to these people who made today's show possible. First of all, there's rumors that WrestleMania is returning to New Orleans in 2018. Did you guys know anything about
I
that?
did not know that.
It's the biggest wrestling event of the year, but this month, Comedy Mania returns to One-Eyed Jacks. How about that for an idea? It's professional wrestling-themed comedy hosted by the fabulous Chris True. Do you know Chris True?
I do not.
From the New Movement Theatre. Morgan, do you know this guy?
Yeah, I do actually.
He's really, really funny. Genius. Have you seen him?
I haven't seen
Oh, my
them.
God,
I
he
really
is
wanna
great.
go.
When he's funny, he's really funny.
He is. I think he's one of the funniest guys. He's easily the funniest guy in New Orleans. You got to see
No.
it. Have you never seen
You're
it?
the funniest guy in
I'm
New
the funny.
Orleans.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Chris Drew is slightly funnier than me. If you go down to the New Movement Theatre there, it's on St. Claude Avenue, any night, it's worth. I mean, here's this whole theatre there of improv comedians.
No, and he
Yeah.
does a
It's
great
not
job.
just-
I've seen there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And they do
It's
classes
great to see-
too,
They have
right?
classes, yep.
Yeah.
Listen, people don't think of New Orleans as an improv town, but there's this growing kind of.
What
Yeah.
about jazz, man? It's
Yeah,
all
no,
improv.
No, but I'm talking about comedy improv. But suddenly it's growing
It's
into
like
this huge
comedy jazz.
comedy jazz.
So this
Dancing
thing,
trombone.
you're absolutely right. One-Eyed Jacks, then, it's on Tuesday the 10th of January. If you're listening to this after the 10th of January, you can go any other week, or any month, actually, because it's on every month. But this one is the 10th of January, and after that, you just have to go to the newmovementtheatre.com and check that out. But this one, you can check it out. If you're a big wrestling fan, you're going to love the show. If you're not a wrestling fan, but you love comedy, you're still going to love the show. How about that? Tickets are available now. The doors open at 7:30 at One-Eyed Jacks, and the show kicks off.
Yeah, that's an
at
interesting Venn
8:30.
diagram.
I know. Wrestling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Wrestlers and comedy people.
it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Chris is the man. So also thanks to Basic Swim and Gym. Do you guys know about that? It's where you can get a full range of fashion swimsuits,
No, I did not know that.
workout, and yoga clothes with style. Who wouldn't want that?
Gotta have
You can
style,
get
man.
a bikini. You interested in a bikini, Renee?
I do not wear bikinis.
Do you wear one piece?
Yes, I
They have
do.
one pieces
Okay.
as well. You can also get a cover up. If you're
I like
familiar
the
with what a cover-up, you can get that.
Keep my tattoos bright.
Yeah.
What about for the men? Anything there?
No, I don't
Anything
think so. Everything you need if you're a woman for beach and poolside is at Basic Swim and Gym. It's right next to the lingerie store, Basics underneath on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue. And here's something the whole family can use. Hangover Destroyer. The only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. If you go to the Hangover Destroyer web, yes, it's true. Take some of this home with you.
You take it
Is this
before
the
you drink.
infusion?
Yeah, what
Take it
happened?
before you drink.
You have to
Oh,
remember.
yeah. Okay.
You can take it after as well, but if you take it before, it's guaranteed to work. It's medically proven to prevent a hangover.
Guaranteed. No, that's strong.
Guaranteed, or you get your hangover back. You go to the Hangover Destroyer website. It's called hdestroyer.com, and if you write the words happy hour in the coupon code, you'll get 30% off of
Nice.
Hangover Destroyer, and you too can seize the dawn.
I'll have to try that.
So
Shame.
if you walk around New Orleans or even drive around New Orleans, you've seen all over the place this sort of white sign with red writing
Yeah,
that
the
says the
love
word
sign.
love
Yeah.
on it. And I see, Morgan, you've bought a book here.
No, I did.
Are
I
you
wrote that book,
responsible
yeah.
for this sign?
No, I found the guys that did, and then I took the photographs of the signs in different places, and it's really a contextual art project that these guys unfolded, and
Yeah.
and so
Who are they?
There are artists whose names we cannot.
You're not allowed to say who it is.
because they're. If you think about it, it's public art that it's not supposed to be in public places. If you really think about it, they're putting it up in.
Well, it's vandalism, is it?
Well, I mean that some person's art is another person's vandalism.
with love.
With love.
I mean, if you're a vandal, are you a vandal? Do you remember if you're a goth and a vandal? I mean, you have a different perspective on what vandalism is.
But
If
these
you say
people,
Putting it out
these
there.
people are putting up a sign. It's, I don't know, how big is that sign? 2 feet by 1 foot or something on these signs, or
They're
more
about
than
this
that?
big.
How big is that, though?
It's not, yeah,
If
they're
you're-
pretty small,
If you're
right?
listening to a
Sizable,
podcast,
you know.
like that.
it's that big.
I mean,
It's as big as a shoebox.
yeah, it's about a.
The shoes still come in a box like that.
It's a little larger
anymore.
than a shoebox.
It's a little bit larger, 2 shoeboxes maybe, and it's got the word love in capital letters in red on a white background. So it's hard to imagine anybody would get upset about that. Is anyone in the city trying to take them down? Or?
Oh yeah, they had people try to take them down. They're really interesting stories, and one of them got arrested once.
One of these fellas who's doing this, men or women, who's
Yeah.
doing this, putting these signs up.
putting that sign of love up.
So do we?
Wow.
How did you find them? You tracked them down. I guess not that hard.
Well,
It's a small town.
I started taking photographs of them, and then I was posting them on my. I had a book that my first book that I wrote was Artist Spaces, and I had a site for that, and I started just taking pictures of them everywhere. And then they said, "Oh, we're the guys that did that." And I said, well, "Would you mind if I did a book on you on this project? You know, just a quickie turnaround book." And,
So these guys are the Banksy of New Orleans.
excuse me.
These guys are the Banksy of New Orleans. No one is. Why are you looking at me like that? You don't know who Banksy is?
Everyone knows
Because
who
I can't
Banksy
hear
is.
you. I'm having a little
What?
problem with the audio. That's
These
it. See, it's
These guys-
convenient that I had a problem with the audio.
I can't understand how you could not know who Banksy is. You got to be kidding, right? Gee,
He's like a graffiti
Morgan, how is that even
vandal.
possible?
He's
Oh,
a vandal.
yeah, of course I do.
you have to. You have to talk.
Graffiti vandal.
I couldn't hear you.
Graffiti vandal.
The,
Let me
your
go to
publicist is going to be freaking out.
He's
isn't
the
he?
Alexander Great of graffiti
this
vandals.
Is the one with the, no, of course I know who he is.
So these guys are. Oh, that was a sort of a wasted line completely there now.
Yeah.
So these guys are.
Things get wasted.
They're anonymous. They're anonymous love spreaders. Why don't they? They don't want anyone to know who they are because they're breaking the law, putting these signs up.
Well,
Basically. So are they ever going to come clean? Are they going to do?
they
do
did
it?
actually in this book, and so if you read
Oh,
the
it
book,
does
you'll
have
find
their
out who
name.
they
Oh,
are.
okay.
They did come clean.
Okay.
There's
Oh,
your guy.
That's the guy on the house
Yeah.
out by the upper ninth ward there, wherever.
Yeah.
that-
I know what I'm talking about.
Where is that? That guy. That house is fantastic.
Isn't that amazing?
God,
He's
yeah.
not there anymore. I haven't
What?
seen
I
that.
haven't seen it either, yeah.
Yeah.
The house is gone.
Yeah, I drive through that neighborhood a lot. No, they just painted the side. The house isn't gone.
No
Oh,
way.
what a shame.
They painted over that. If you've driven, what street is that on?
Vandals.
Really?
Vandals,
That's
right,
vandalism.
exactly.
What street was that on? It was on North Roman Street or Claiborne?
It's off Elysian
No,
Fields?
it was like North Billary.
Something like that.
It was
Yeah.
a gigantic grey house with a black painting in black of a white guy lounging on a couch.
Yeah, and this is the same artist who did this, by the way, the Gasa Gasa.
Ah, okay.
Same artist.
Gasa on Fret Street, just right
Yeah,
down
yep.
here from Wayfare where
Yep.
we're at. What did he do? Is this painting inside that?
Outside.
Outside. Oh, that mural
now
on
you
the
can see
outside.
if you really
oh,
look
yeah,
at
yeah,
it,
yeah.
you can say, oh, it's the
Oh,
same
it's
guy.
the same guy. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Who's this guy over here? It's an interesting day here at Wayfare. Okay, so listen here. We've only got a couple of minutes left. So what have we missed out? What have I screwed up? Any ideas?
My new location to the coffee shop?
Yeah, let's do that.
It's
So
in
it's called
Mid-City. It's on Canal in North Solomon, Church Alley Coffee Bar. And we're going to hopefully reopen the first week in February.
Hot little neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Canal and North Solomon.
So it's about 2
does that
blocks
look like?
lakeside of Carrollton,
2 blocks on the
on
lakeside
downtown side.
of Carrollton. Off
Yeah,
Carrollton.
but between Blue Dot and Cafe Min.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's a good location.
Yeah, it's a great
All right.
I'm
It's a
super
bit
excited.
further from your house, though.
It is, I know. We had to buy a second car, so Adam could drive.
So
could
this
go
thing
places.
better pay off because there's not much margin in a cup of coffee, I'm sure.
Oh,
Well,
yes, there is.
There
is.
is.
You just have to have. You have to have a ton of them. you just
Because
have to
there
buy
are
a ton.
some of us who are addicts, you see.
How much coffee do you drink a day?
I have about 3 of these a day.
Through these gigantic Starbucks things.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but, everyone has to have a vice.
That's true. Well, you quit everything else, though, right?
Yeah, I kind of quit everything else.
Yeah,
but,
so-
it was okay. I had enough drinks for just about everybody for the rest of the year. So it's all right.
You got a long way to go.
My
though,
liver
now.
survived. It's all right. I'm
You
doing
got
all right.
through it. Right. Boyanna, how much do you drink a day?
Coffee, about 2 coffees.
That's not too bad. Well, how much are you drinking?
I probably drink about 2 cups. Yeah, because
Same.
we taste all the time, so I
You
can't.
spitting it out?
No, but we are definitely tasting espresso all day long, and then do pour overs and different things.
So where do you get the coffee, your coffee from?
Different roasters. I have a roaster at Cafe Grumpy out in New York. that
Cafe
we really-
Grumpy.
Yeah, it's really great.
When I drink that coffee.
They're so good. Yeah,
That's a
I'm
great
pretty
name
grumpy
for it.
when I don't have my
Yeah,
coffee.
exactly.
I'll tell you
Great
that.
name. Great name.
It's so good. Yeah.
And I did want to mention this thing because I read this. I've read a few of these. Your blog online called Bossy Like Me.
Oh, yeah. So I started that earlier this year, and I basically
Well,
interviewed...
not this year, actually, but
Sorry, last year. And I interview women who are doing cool things or starting a business or whatever, and I just ask them questions that I want to know about what women are doing. Like, how did they get their idea for their business? Or what's their greatest success or their worst failure that they learned?
are you bossy?
I'm very bossy. That's why I named it like that. It is
Where's my...
always
Are
been
you
bossy.
really?
Yeah.
You don't strike me. Does she strike you as being bossy?
See, that has a word apparently
no.
from NPR. It has apparent negative connotations with regard to feminists. They think that the word bossy is...
Well, people think that women who are strong and stand up for themselves and don't take any crap are bossy. I've been called bossy my whole life, and I think it's great.
I think you're ballsy, and I think that's even better.
Bossy like me.
Nice.
I mean, think about what she's done, and look at you. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm a female drummer.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a pretty
Yeah.
unusual...
Very
Yeah.
bossy.
That's
Yeah.
very rare, right?
Yeah,
That's
tell me
unusual.
about it.
That's cool.
That's very rare to be like a successful female drummer, like in a in a rock
Relatively.
band.
Well, reggae brass band.
Well, yeah, but
Other
you do
bands,
tons
too.
of you do
I
tons
do
of stuff.
everything.
Yeah.
I really
You're
do.
in that crazy ass Bulgarian band. Is that still going? Not really. Sort of. What are the guys? I mean, you can do everything else, but what is the sax? What does the accordion player do when the Bulgarian band's not playing?
Oh, you got to ask him.
Okay.
He does accordion stuff.
Is there tons of accordion work going on in New Orleans?
Apparently there is.
Is there?
Yeah.
That was a really nice bunch
He's
of
doing
guys.
a lot of teaching because he's like one of the only accordion guys around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a hard instrument to learn, I would think.
Right?
Okay, so there's 2 more things that it says to do in Morgan's How to Be Like.
Yeah, my opening
Alexander
is
the Great.
next week, by the way.
Oh, let's get on to that.
Yeah, so it's
the opening of
January
your
12th,
show.
7 o'clock, and it's a benefit for the Creative Alliance of New Orleans.
Okay. Let's just go back one step. January the 12th is what day exactly?
Thursday.
Thursday, January the 12th. If you listen to this after January the 12th.
The show
What
will
do
still
you
be
do?
open through Mardi Gras at the New Orleans Arts Center.
So it's an art exhibition.
Yeah.
It's not. So you're not.
It's huge. I created a campaign tent for all of these murals in it, like a tent.
Wow.
It's a 300 square foot tent with so the inside of it has all these murals in it. It's an extraordinary thing as a contextual art exhibit, and it teaches you a lot about Greece and it teaches you a lot about Alexander the Great. So if you're interested at all in that, it's just fun.
Will you have any Greek food there?
Oh yeah, we'll have the Greek girls are coming, bringing their yogurt. We have a
The
whole
Greek
Greek
girls,
community here.
rice pudding.
Yeah.
Nice. nice.
Yeah, they're
That's
great.
nice. Have you had the Greek girls rice pudding yet?
I have not.
Do you
but
like
it
rice
sounds
pudding?
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I heard it's
They
really
make it good, baby.
It's good. Greek
Yeah.
girls rice pudding is going to be there. Okay, so this sounds like a fun night.
It's a fun
actually.
night. It's $35 a ticket, but if you're listening to this podcast and you put into their Yelp 504, you're going to get $10 off that ticket.
Okay, Yelp 504 is a coupon code.
And yeah, it's Eventbrite.
At
Eventbrite.com,
Eventbrite.
yeah.
Okay.
Alexander the Great visits New Orleans.
And we have a link to it on our website. It's neworleans.com
Yeah, okay.
as well. So
Yeah,
you
that's
can
a great
also,
idea.
If you go to our website, you can find it as well if all else fails.
Yeah, and beyond that, we'll keep in contact.
Okay. Let's know what else you're doing. Did you know that this is one of my favorite things about Morgan Molthrop? He was a Giorgio Armani model.
What?
I was, and
was,
I was the Levi's
yes.
man for Greece. I just want to let you
Really?
know that.
How about
That was
that?
my
I
first
didn't
trip
even
to
know
Greece.
that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You were the Levi's man.
And I was a kid. I was 25, and I thought I was old, but I loved going to Greece, and that was one of the things, that I got to do for free because I was modeling for Levi's.
Can you believe it? I've told so many people this. Morgan was not just a Giorgio Armani model. He was Giorgio Armani's model.
Oh,
was-
baby, you're beautiful. Eh? You are so beautiful. You must model for me. Eh?
That's a true story. How about that?
That's amazing.
So you're hanging out with Giorgio Armani's personal suit
So you
model.
just walked around for him?
I was a fit model for Yves Saint Laurent, but it's all right. Same difference. I did model for Yves, for Armani, but I was the fit model for Yves Saint Laurent, which is kind of funny. But
So you were the fit model for Yves Saint Laurent, and you modeled for Giorgio.
Of course, yeah.
Holy crap! There's double. I forgot about the Yves Saint Laurent bit.
Yeah, but you know what?
It's impressive, isn't it? Come
Yeah.
on.
It's really
It's impressive. And now he's
Yeah.
writing books on Alexander.
Yeah, this guy's a real Renaissance
What
man.
other models are doing that?
Seriously.
Okay, here's point number 9. This is what you've got to do to be successful, like Alexander the Great. Number 9, cultivate drama.
Cultivate drama.
Cultivate drama.
Yeah, make sure there's drama going on all the time.
I try to squash it.
This is
I guess
crazy.
I guess I'm
That's
fucking up.
crazy. Did someone proof this for you before you did that? Did someone say you can't put that in a book?
Oh, I can put that in there.
Yeah, but did anyone read this and go, what the hell are you thinking about? Cultivate drama. That sounds like
Well,
the
I
opposite.
suppose my editor is now going to listen to you and say, well, maybe we ought to change number 9 to something a little more, like be a drama queen or something like that. I don't know.
I'm just wondering why having drama in your life is a positive thing, where I would think it
about
drags you
Greek
down.
dramas, tragedies, and all of it. They were very much into that, and that has become a part of our culture. We don't even think about that connection. But
You want to have tragedy in your life?
We
That's
want
what you're supposed to
tragedy.
cultivate? Why would you want
one
that?
must learn
I
from
don't.
tragedies, and one must learn from the comedies and all of that. You have to learn from your mistakes, right?
Okay. I don't know if the
Firebombs and things like
I'm
that.
not-
So
That's
would
a tragedy.
would it be like going after things that you're scared of?
No,
it's different.
if you are a leader,
No,
if
it's
you're
drama.
a leader, you have to make sure that your men and the women that are around you have Olympic Games and they have festivals. There's drama all the time so that they're entertained. It's spread in circuses.
So it's not personal.
It's more like
we,
entertainment.
Right, well, and
Yeah,
sometimes when you
yeah,
have
yeah.
a
Not
circle
like
of friends
drama.
around you that are all competing, you make them have a little drama so that they're all focused on that and not going after you.
Wow. This
Yeah,
is with
that's deep stuff.
That's with your actual friends you're talking about?
Excuse me?
This is with your actual friends?
I don't have any friends, so I don't.
You're okay on that score.
I'm a king,
Too
maker,
much
not a
drama.
king.
And I think perhaps the best. There's all kinds of other good information in this, but
Yeah,
one
Die
of my
Young is the
favorites.
best one.
Die
Look at this. Burn the baggage.
Oh.
That's
I
a good
think
one.
That's
That's a
good
good
advice,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Burn the baggage. Let
Skip
it go.
chapter 9, go right to chapter 10.
Yeah,
You
let
know
it
the
go.
next one. Read the next one.
Okay, number 11, ladies and gentlemen, is be a fountain.
A fountain.
Be a fountain. Yeah.
Be a
Read the
fountain.
next one.
Keep going. 12. Die young.
Die young.
Oh, that's
And then you
awful.
resurrect after that. That means you've
Well,
accomplished your goal.
You do believe in life after death, then?
Well, what I'm saying is if you've gotten to your quest and you've gotten what you wanted out of life, then it's time to get a new quest and start a new adventure. But you kind of go under for a little while and then emerge.
Okay, so you're
Are
talking
you
about...
advocating suicide?
What?
Are you advocating suicide?
Advocating a rest and a vacation, which is what Renee
Yeah,
said she
Renee.
wanted.
So
out of
what
this
you're
whole thing.
talking about is not actual death, it's metaphorical.
It's all
death.
metaphorical,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So that's...
Yeah, all this
I
is
was-
metaphorical.
So cultivate...
Confusing here.
It's
Yeah, I was-
Many different
confusing.
levels going on here.
We're too stupid for this book, I think.
Yeah,
Boyanna,
no,
you and me.
I'm sorry about that. My editor's now going to be like, all right, now you got to dumb it down. 5th grade level, blah, blah, blah.
Well, we haven't read it. We're just looking at the headlines here. So maybe if we read
The
it, we'd
headlines are
understand.
tough, then we got a problem.
We'd understand it better. And then number 13 is resurrect. And that's how we're going to
Well, he was a god. You know, he was actually named a god. They called him a divine
How
character.
do you get that gig?
Yeah, well, the Greeks had a way. There's a way, there's steps to becoming a god, and he followed the steps and he got it.
How did we lose all that? How did that magic and that stuff...
I answered that question in this book.
Okay. That's what I'd like to know. Because it seems like it was a better world in a sort of a way.
It always does, doesn't it?
Yeah. No,
it was a Game of Thrones.
Well, you know what? We're going to make America great again.
Nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about.
I'm just going to have a cup of coffee and stay in my studio and paint.
Yeah.
We're not too big to fail. We're
Yet.
all...
No, I think we are, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We are too big to fail.
We are.
So
We
we're
are.
good to go then.
We're great.
We're going to resurrect ourselves.
Yeah, we're going to
by the
die
way,
young
there's nothing
and
wrong with
resurrect.
failure because failure teaches you about success. Just want to let you know. There's no such
This
thing
is
as a
true.
failure.
This is
You
true.
don't want to fail. That's the thing, though. Is
you do want to fail a
No
few
one
times.
sets out to fail.
No,
Everyone's-
you don't set out to, but you got to fail. How are you ever going to succeed if you don't know what
Right.
just know, you got to. This is the only guy I ever knew kind of was invincible.
Alexander the Great, not the Tsar of Russia,
Not the Tsar of Russia.
but who died at 323 BC at the age of 33, same age as Jesus. That's weird, isn't it?
That is weird.
amazing, isn't
That
it?
is, it's
What
like
we
all the
accomplish
rock
in our
stars
lives.
that died at
Is that a
27.
coincidence?
All the deities
Okay,
died
guys.
at 33.
Well, all those people died at 27, I think, didn't they? Like
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain and
Yeah, all
Janis
those rock
Joplin
stars
and all those.
Amy
rock-
Winehouse and
She was
Jim Morrison,
27,
Jimi
27,
Hendrix, yeah.
27,
27. And all the deities apparently died at 33.
33.
Jesus.
33 was the one that's
Alexander the
age.
Great.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the magic age.
Wow. Okay, we're out of here. But who are you moving on to next after Alexander the Great? You did Napoleon.
It's a trilogy.
Alexander the Great.
So there are
and
3 books. One of them is The Lost Book. The second is Meeting of the Courts. He comes to New Orleans, actually. And the third is The Cult of Alexander.
Oh.
Ah, okay.
So we're
there's
not
one
moving
more-
on. We're
one more to
staying on
come.
this for a while.
Okay.
Until you understand every bit of it.
Till you've got the idea. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. That's Morgan Molthrop. Morgan, I'm confused about whether Molthrop is spelled with an A or an O at the beginning. M-A?
It's O. It's pronounced like Molthrop,
It's
but
Molthrop.
it's with an O.
But I've
so-
seen it both ways.
Yeah, because people misspell
Just
it.
misspell it. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Morgan Molthrop, thank you so much for being here.
Grant, always a pleasure.
I loved you coming on the show. Come
I
on
loved it.
back.
I loved
Renee
coming.
Blanchard, it's fantastic to meet you.
Thank you.
I hope you come
Me
back
too.
as well sometime.
Thank you. That was super
And
fun.
we'll look forward to going to have a cup of coffee
Yes.
with you. And Boyanna Trayanova, thank you for coming back
Thanks for
on
having
the show
me.
as well. Good to see you back.
Been a
And
pleasure.
The name of the band is One Love Brass Band, and we have links to all the stuff we talked about today on our site. It's neworleans.com. That's Happy Hour for another week. Thanks for joining us. Our show is produced by Graham DePonte, and our music director is Christian Unruh. Jean Valois is our music producer, and Thomas Walsh is our technical director. Our live feed directors are Asher Griffith and Grayson Jernigan, but there's no live feed today on Facebook because the boys are still on vacation. But we'll be back with our live feed on Facebook next week, so check out our Facebook page. It's New Orleans. It's simply called. Our theme music was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show and you can stay upright for about an hour and drink cocktails, drop us a line. Our address is on our website. It's neworleans.com. We can also check out some other shows we make here at INO Broadcasting, like, for example, Live from Commander's Palace with Peter Raschuti. That show is called Out to Lunch, True to the Game with the fabulous Chris True, which is a sports comedy show, Midnight Menu Plus One with Margot Moss and the man who ate New Orleans, Ray Canada. Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tucker. Milo's Music Parlor with Kim Vu, the podcast about death, simply called Death the Podcast with psychologist Dr. Arian Alfant, and Questions from the Waiting Room with psychiatrist Nick Pajic. You can also find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and it's batonrouge.la. You can keep up with us on Facebook and Twitter and a bunch of other time-sucking social media as well. On all of it, we're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show, see what we all look like on itsneworleans.com and on our Facebook page. Those photos are taken today by Alison Moon, who's off to China for an entire month as of this week. If you're listening to this show on your favorite podcast app, thank you for subscribing to us. Take a moment, if you can, to rate and review us. That helps other people find us. Our show is recorded live today on Ferret Street in the fabulous Wayfare, which is in uptown New Orleans. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon, who's on the road but will be back here next week, Graham DePonte, everyone else around the table here at Wayfare and back at our office at INO Broadcasting. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. I'll see you back here next week on Happy Hour.
Yo, if we go to 7-Eleven right now, we can be back in time for the game.
I don't know, man. I don't want to miss kickoff.
Okay, but Gatorade is 2 for $2.50 when I use my 7-Eleven app.
Dude, but kickoff.
But how are we going to stay on top of our game while watching this game if we're not on that 7-Eleven game?
I don't know how.
Keep up, dude. 2 for $2.50 Gatorade with my 7-Eleven app.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, I'm feeling you now.
Thank you.
7-Eleven. Be game day ready. Plus tax where applicable. Valid at participating locations.